Hey everyone, welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube channel. I wanted to talk about how OCD can latch onto the way we look, our physical appearances, which can kind of tie into body dysmorphia or body image fears, or OCD related fears. Really anything where someone believes that they have to continually build this ideology based around self-esteem. And I'm going to talk about the third book on the reading list, The Myth of Self-Esteem by Dr. Albert Ellis, who created REBT, where we take the principles from rational thinking and we apply that to people in all different types of fears. Whether you suffer with a fear or not that's directly related to conditional self-acceptance, such as a harm OCD, a POCD, ROCD, because sometimes existential OCD, solipsism, sensory motor OCD, some of these other fears, which can be very debilitating, as I know going through a couple of them myself, don't particularly pertain to conditional self-acceptance and more so conditional life acceptance. It is really important to cover all those things. So before I go any further, as I always say, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button. If you're interested in our webinar or coaching services, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com and just ask about the things that we offer. The webinars are a great deal. They're a lot of fun. We do huge Q&As, and we sometimes we're actually getting to holding 2 a week. This week, I believe, we had guilt OCD yesterday, guilt-related fears, and acceptance earlier in the week. So, the first thing to cover is what's the most important thing when it comes to a body image type of fear, the fear of not looking a certain way, which can take the place in almost a hyper-awareness type of fear if it's a body part sensation. If you're constantly trying to chase the way you look, and stuff like that, that can actually be a really big problem for a lot of people. So the number one thing we want to cover is how unconditional self-acceptance is really the key part to breaking down these fears. So first of all, what is unconditional self-acceptance? Unconditional self-acceptance, it is exactly what it says in the tin. You accept yourself unconditionally, regardless of your faults, regardless of your behaviors. Now, when people look into this for the first time, they kind of get confused. It's understandable why we're confused, because this is not the way human beings tend to look at things, right? We tend to look at things and I need to build my self-esteem in order to reach a certain thing. But this is actually a humongous mistake. And the reason why it's a big mistake is self-esteem is predicated, if it works all the time, off someone who's perfect and predicated off of perfection. You constantly will be in this place where you're constantly needing to prove yourself. And the only people who could stay at that high level of acceptance for themselves and other people are people who don't have any faults. And I don't know anyone like that. Actor, celebrity, writer, average Joe, it doesn't matter who it is. Nobody is perfect, because humans are fallible and we make mistakes our entire life. So it's super important to highlight that. So when you go to The Myth of Self-Esteem, again, that's the third book on the reading list. If you're looking for the books on the reading list, they're on ocdrecovery.com underneath the resource tab. And people do ask me how important these books are. Without a good understanding of self-esteem and the myth behind self-esteem and why unconditional self-acceptance doesn't write off the human in its entirety, it's such an important part of still having goals and passions for, saying, working out, which I will talk about that soon. And understanding agreement doesn't mean acceptance, is you'll really want to read that book. I don't see how it would be possible to recover from conditional self-acceptance based fears, such as body image fears, without a good understanding of that. So let's just jump right into some of the ways where compulsive behaviors take place in this setting. So let's look at ones that a lot of people maybe miss. Compulsively going to the gym because you always think you need to build some sort of self-esteem. A lot of people say the reason I got into the gym is to prove my worth. Understandable, but a really poor reason to go to the gym, in my opinion. Seeing what it has done anecdotally to many people in the fitness industry and just average goers alike. And I will talk about why that doesn't mean you can't have goals and want to go to the gym. Constantly changing the way you look on social media or your physical appearance. I was reading an article earlier today when I was going to the bathroom, and it was talking about a celebrity who was wearing something, and they said, it's the sexiest I've ever felt in my entire life. And when I've seen other articles about this person, and this is not just using this one example, many people, like, that won't last because you're holding on to that conditionally. And then they tank down, and then they have to come back up again. They tank down and they have to come back up again. And they're on this roller coaster ride of conditional self-acceptance and thinking they need to get self-esteem. Now, don't get it twisted. I like looking good. I like having my hair look good, my beard look good. I like wearing nice clothes. I like working out. I like having a good physical appearance, feeling healthy and looking healthy. But the important thing is to realize is those things are separate from your personhood. Those aren't you. You're not a bodybuilder. You're just a person who lifts weights and builds muscle. It's just one little piece of aspect about your entire life. But if you make those physical appearances the only thing that's important in your life, you're really setting yourself up for trouble. Because what you're doing is when those things don't go your way, when you get injured, we've seen this with other people, athletes, bodybuilders, anyone that's in sports, they get injured, they can't perform that sport for a while or ever again, and they get depressed. Sometimes they eventually go all the way to getting addicted to drugs and taking their own life, which is really unfortunate. Where if I could have got in there and talked to them like, look, that chapter of your life is over. Now you can build a new chapter in your life. It doesn't mean you can't be sad. Obviously, it would be sad if I never could go to the gym again or never hike, but it's not the end of the world as we imagine. So the social media is a huge issue when it comes to conditional self-acceptance. Always looking for the right quote. Always looking for the right lighting. Taking the same pictures 10, 12, 13, 14 times over and over again to try to prove to yourself why you should look a certain way. And again, I have to state this over and over and over again throughout this video because a lot of people get confused and they say, well, you're telling me, are you saying I shouldn't go to the gym? Are you telling me I can't have social media? Human beings tend to be black and white. So what they do is the average person, not even OCD, will watch this if they do, or read something like this, and they'll make a deductive decision. I'm not using social media ever again. Well, that's not what we're saying. We're saying you can want to look good physically. You can want to go to the gym. You could want to set goals in the gym, but there needs to be some sort of a balance. This has been a massive struggle of mine for 10 years. It's something I understand very well now because I didn't realize how much conditional self-acceptance I put on myself when I was going through this journey. I've tried to go to the gym every day, on and off. Usually when I go to the gym every day, it becomes compulsive. What I find works the best is 3 days a week resistance training for me, and then hiking on the weekends or something along the lines of that. Realizing if I miss a day here and there, it's not the end of the world. I also am going to try to not work out on vacations anymore because I do think that's a compulsive chase to wanting to keep up a certain image. But say I go to, I don't know, just a random vacation. I'm going to see my family in Florida for 5 days over Christmas. I probably will not resistance train. I'll walk around the beach and do stuff like that. I do actually want to go for a run because it's at sea level to see how much better my oxygen is for being on my oxygen out. That's not correct. Anyway, I'm losing my train of thought. Anyway, I want to see how much better my cardio is while I'm on the beach there because I live a mile in the sky. So stuff like that. But there needs to be some sort of a balance, and that balance is a fine line. And the thing that I've realized about myself and the thing I've realized about people with the gym is most people are going to the gym to build that self-esteem. And then that self-esteem can be directly related to getting sex or having intimacy, to going on dates. And although all that is good and fun, if it's not watched properly and the belief system behind it is poor, when things don't go your way, you tend to tank. And it's really important to talk about that. So this isn't going to be that long of a video, but I do think it is important to cover this. The main basis of this is if you're doing things on social media, if you're strictly going to the gym in order to get certain things in your life, this usually needs to be watched. And the reason why it needs to be watched is because when things don't go your way, you will tank. And I see that with myself, saw it with myself a lot worse than I have it now, and I see it with other people. Some of the things I struggled with was I was so into the gym and my macronutrients that this is probably the last thing I struggle with to a degree that will come and go is, if I'm doing physical labor or I'm doing something in my job that requires like a lot of body movement, my brain will go, oh, you're going to lose muscle. Oh, it's going to ruin that, because I was so in that cycle for so long, and it was a huge problem for me. And I think it's a huge problem for a lot of people. I really didn't have a plan with this video. I've been wanting to talk about this. By the way, I am going to do a very structured body dysmorphia video on this whiteboard, as that's something I really struggled with for a very long time. Way longer than sensory motor, way longer. 10, 12, 13, 14 years. Again, it's not because building muscle is a problem. It's because my idea behind why I needed to build muscle was the problem. And that was really key. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember the things that you're doing to try and search for that craving of certainty. It is a slippery slope. Again, it doesn't mean you can't have social media. It doesn't mean you can't go to the gym. It doesn't mean you can't work out. It's saying that if you're doing it compulsively to rid yourself of anxiety, if you're doing it compulsively to grab an idea of certainty, this will probably need to come down. Thank you so much for watching this video. And as always, have a great day.